It's 4:30 in the morning right now. I'm still hungover from a stream that I did on Sunday night, but that won't stop me from covering your face in a hot, salty load of wrestling news. Let's take a look at the headlines, shall we? More draft picks have been revealed after Raw went off the air. A WWE Superstar made his return on Raw. And we got an update on the WWE status of Eva Marie. We'll tell you more in a bit. So we are kicking things off with some more draft picks. And these are draft picks that you won't know about unless, like me, you stayed up to watch Raw Talks. It's a show that I've never seen in full before. And let me just tell you what a load of absolute nonsensical rambling bollocks it was. On with the draft picks. First of all, the new number one contender to the Raw Women's Championship, I can't believe I'm saying this, Lana has been drafted from Raw to Raw. It's weird how they've done this draft this year, isn't it? Next up, her former tag team partner Natalya is heading from Raw to SmackDown. Natalya heading to the blue brand. Get the cat excited. Riddick Moss from Raw Underground to Raw. Again, they made a real point of going, yeah, he was on Raw Underground and now he's on Raw. So Riddick Moss, a part of the red brand. The Riot Squad heading over from Raw to SmackDown. And I think that's really good because I think SmackDown could do with some more depth to their women's tag scene and they feel like a proper team. So that's all good. And finally, Arturo Ruas is heading from Raw Underground to Raw. Now, there's been a lot of reports about Arturo and the fact that management see big things in him. I think he's great. I think he's really unique and really like what I saw of him in NXT. And obviously, he's made that jump fairly quickly. So they've obviously got big things in store for him. There are a couple of others, before I get to the full list, in case you haven't seen Raw from last night, that happened on social media and during the Monday Night Raw watch-along. First of all, heading from SmackDown to SmackDown, it's Shorty G. And this is such a shame. He's one of those people, like, I guess Ricochet is staying on Raw as well. To not be bothered by the Hurt Business anymore, not be picked on. He's one of those that I think could have done with a bit of freshening up and maybe a brand switch would have done that for him. But honestly, I guess with the announcement that Lars Sullivan is heading over to SmackDown, he's probably just going to get beaten up by Lars for the next 4 months or something, isn't he? And another tag team split. The Lucha House Party, Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado are heading from SmackDown to Raw, while Kalisto is staying put on the blue brand. That was announced during the watch-along. And so another team bites the dust. They've not been friendly to teams, obviously. Everybody's talking about the New Day. I feel really sorry for Heavy Machinery because I feel like Tucker is going to have a hard old time of it. And he's really good in the ring and everything. But they obviously have big things in mind for Otis. So if you haven't seen Raw from last night, let's go through the draft picks. And there are a lot of them, so I'll be as quick as I can here. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, heading over to Raw. I think a lot of us saw that coming. I think it's great. I think he's done almost everything he could do on SmackDown, so that's the right shout as far as I'm concerned. Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champion, staying on SmackDown. Randy Orton, staying on Raw to continue scrapping with Drew McIntyre forever and a day. The Street Profits, they were Raw Tag Team Champions, they're now SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They just swapped the belts. You have those ones, we'll have these ones. The New Day, of course, or Xavier and Kofi anyway, on Raw. And now the Street Profits heading to SmackDown. Charlotte Flair, Raw. We didn't see her last night, but she was she was the fifth pick of the first round. Daniel Bryan staying on SmackDown. Matt Riddle heading over to Raw. Kevin Owens heading over to SmackDown. Again, sensible choice. He's not had the best time of it over the past few months on Raw. Feels like they didn't really know what to do with him, so SmackDown again, I think, is the right shout for him. Where his little buddy, they're friends forever. Sami Zayn is also there, which we might get another chapter in that rivalry, which will also last forever, but in a good way, unlike Randy and Drew. Next up, Jeff Hardy, the charismatic enigma, heading over to Raw. We saw him wrestle in a really fun triple threat match last night. That's well worth a watch. Retribution are staying Raw exclusive, aren't they polite? But we didn't hear from them yesterday. We were meant to hear from Mustafa Ali as to why that all happened, and that just got canned from the show, and I don't understand why. Lars Sullivan is now SmackDown exclusive. Keith Lee staying on Raw. King Corbin staying on SmackDown. Woohoo! Alexa Bliss heading to Raw. She was fantastic last night with The Fiend. Check that out. Elias, who made his big return last night, smashing a guitar, getting all angry about Jeff Hardy. He's back in WWE. He has been out for ages. He's been out since, what was it, like May? With a pectoral injury. He is now back, and he doesn't blame Sheamus. They're continuing with that storyline. Remember the one that resulted in the piss and all that? They're continuing with that. So now we're going to get an Elias Jeff Hardy feud. It's difficult to get too excited about, but whatever. Next up, Sami Zayn staying on SmackDown, as I mentioned. Lacey Evans, Raw. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, they're staying as a team. They've not split those guys up, staying on SmackDown. Sheamus coming over to Raw. Nikki Cross coming over to Raw as well, where her former DFS, where her former I'm very tired, where her former mate Alexa Bliss is. You've also got Dolph and Robert Roode heading over to SmackDown. R-Truth staying on Raw. Apollo Crews heading over to SmackDown. Dabba-Kato, Raw from Raw Underground. Titus O'Neil, Raw. Carmella, SmackDown, obviously. Peyton Royce staying on Raw. Aleister Black heading over to SmackDown. I think that's much needed as well. And the final pick, and we were all like, oh man, who's it going to be? It's going to be somebody big, isn't it? It's going to be, this is huge. They've saved the best till last. Akira Tozawa staying on Raw. So there you go. It was I think it was a bit of an underwhelming night as far as the draft is concerned, actually. We were all expecting maybe a few NXT call-ups, a debut or something like that, and we didn't get that. But we did get Akira Tozawa staying on Raw. And really, in the end, that's all that's important. Next up, a quick update on WWE's reported signing of one Eva Marie. Now, we broke the story yesterday in an exclusive saying that Eva Marie had indeed signed with WWE, and it was likely that she was going to pop up on TV very, very soon. We didn't see her last night, but PW Insider have given us an update on the story as well. They say Marie is in Orlando, Florida for this week's WWE TV tapings and was seen yesterday undergoing medical testing needed in order to enter the Thunderdome today. PW Insider is told that Marie and the company came to terms for a return the week of the 20th of the 9th. There's no word whether she is returning to wrestle or simply appear as a personality on TV. So this, I guess, means a few things. We didn't see her last night on Raw, and I think a lot of people were expecting her to waltz out right at the very end of that Battle Royal. That didn't happen. So either WWE are going to sit on it a while because the story is broken and then do it as a surprise when people aren't expecting her, or she's going to pop up on SmackDown, maybe even this week, or possibly, and I don't think it would have done, but there could be medical issues. Obviously, if she's undergone these medical tests, something might have happened there. But it looks like Eva Marie will be back sooner rather than later. She's there. She's at the bloody Thunderdome and she's ready to go, whatever she is going to be doing next. So expect to see her very soon. And finally, before I put myself to bed, thank the Lord, just a little interesting tidbit of news from one Sami Zayn. Now, cast your minds back to Clash of Champions and that fantastic triple threat ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, won, of course, by Sami Zayn himself. And it was fantastic, full of brutal, innovative spots, stuff that we've not seen before. And one of the most notable of those was, of course, Sami Zayn whapping the handcuffs out and cuffing Jeff Hardy's ear to the ladder, and then he cuffed AJ as well. It was brilliant. It was so good, and all three of those guys, they got heaps of praise for that match, but especially that spot. But who was responsible for it? You might think, oh, it's probably Sami, right? Or Jeff? Or AJ? No. So he spoke to the Metro, and he said, I wish I could take all the credit for that, but it was actually Jamie Noble, who is a real genius. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. And I like this. I like people getting the credit they deserve. And Jamie Noble is somebody who is very often complimented, and how well he's transitioned to the role of backstage agent and producer, and how instrumental he's been in putting together various segments and matches, and just how great he is. So there you go. You got a shout out on a Cultaholic news video, Jamie. I like you. I like you a lot. I'm off to bed now. I hope you have a nice day, and I will see you tonight for my Twitch stream watching some classic British TV. Twitch.tv/Cultaholic. Got all the plugs in. Good night. God bless.